I'm Paul Brewer. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a retired millwright. And I'm a United States Marine.
Welcome to the third and final installment of our interview with Paul Brewer. Last week we went through Paul's leaving of Vietnam to his time with Embassy Security, into his return to Vietnam, and the time he spent as a drill instructor, all the way to his final days with the Marine Corps. Today, this is where we pick up. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell so that you'll be notified whenever we do an upload, and we do one each and every week. So sit back and enjoy the third and final episode of Paul Brewer, United States Marine.
I was mad at an individual, not the Marine Corps.
Right.
But I had a good career and enjoyed that.
So, over the years since then, you've been diagnosed with a few things spurning from your time in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Shrapnel in the neck and stuff like that. Agent Orange, I believe.
Yeah, they've tested me, I think, 6 times for Agent Orange and just sent me another letter. I was in the highest spray, me and my brothers were in the highest sprayed area south of Da Nang in Vietnam during that time. Mm-hmm. And they've been tested 6 times, but don't have anything. But now I'm reading that the hypothyroid is related to that. And of course, I finally got 100% 10 years or so back, I guess, for PTSD.
Right.
Got me a lot of help there, which has really helped me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anything to do with the Marine Corps. I was fed with it, had enough. But my son, Robbie, he started talking to me about, what'd you do in the Marines, Dad? What'd you do this? What'd you do that? And so over time, I opened up more and more, and I had a bunch of pictures that I'd get out and we'd share and talk about. Well, next thing, lo and behold, our youngest girl, Kim, joins the Marine Corps. Well, before she joined, the year before that, Chris wanted to join the Marine Corps. She went down and the recruiters jerked her around, and she went down and joined the Army. And I was proud of her. The day she left, I didn't get to see her because I couldn't get off work, but I saw the bus pull out, you know. And then Kim said, she come to me and her mother, and she says, I don't want to go to college right now. I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to waste y'all's money. And I've decided I want to be in the Marine Corps. So I went down with her and told the recruiter, look, we're not going to have no hodgepodge. She gets what she wants, and she gets it in writing, or she don't go. Mm-hmm. I said, we let one get away, but we're not going to let another one get away. Mm-hmm. So she did. She signed up and went in and went into supply and had a good career. She got to go to Japan for 6 months, and she talked about all that. But after Kim went in, it started when Chris went in, but after Kim went in, my interest peaked back about the Marines and the Marine Corps, and everything. And the unfortunate thing about that is she graduated, I think, on January 20th of 91. The 13th, okay. And if I'd have been paying attention, but I was so tunnel visioned on her, the depot sergeant major was Sergeant Major Mike McGraw, who I was in Brussels with in 1969, 70, and 71, and he was a sergeant. But when Kim got back in, and Kim went to school in Meridian, and Chris, when she joined the Army, she went to basic in Alabama, like Anniston, Alabama. We went down to see her, had a good time at her graduation and all that. She got robbed. They were supposed to do it outdoors, but the weather was cold and bad, and they got indoors, and the commanding officer got up there and he says, I don't have anything prepared to say today, but, you know, blah, blah, blah. It flew all over the parents. Well, of course, when Kim graduated, the Marine Corps, it's step A, B, C,
right.
And it's all directed towards the recruits. Right. They even turned the podium around and turned their back on the parents and addressed the recruits, which was cool. So when Kim got sent to Meridian to go to school for accounting and supply and all that, she met Robbie Llewellyn, who is now our son-in-law. Robbie was a Marine. And bless his heart, he's a good man. I gave him a hard time when he came home with Kim. I was so convinced. In my mind, I had convinced myself that when she gets out of the Marine Corps, she's going to come home. But my heart knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I gave Robbie a hard time. But I wouldn't trade him for nothing. Right. He's as sweet and loving as he wants. He's been really good to me and Pat. Matter of fact, all of our son-in-laws have, and our daughter-in-law.
Well, they've been married now for what, 20?
They got married in 93, so they're coming up on 27. They just had
years?
27. They just had 27. And they were married 16 years before they had Sydney. They tried and tried and tried to have children, and it just never happened. They were two wild bucks enjoying life. They got settled down a little bit, bang, pregnant with Sydney.
Well, I remember when they got married, and because they got married right before Parker was born.
Yeah.
So.
And then Chris, when she got married, she was at, what's the base down there in Alabama, and below Savannah, the Army base, McClellan? Is that it?
No. McClellan is
at Atlanta.
Is in Atlanta. Fort Stewart is in Savannah.
She was
actually Hinesville.
Yeah, Hinesville. She was stationed down there and met Johnny, and they got married. Had two beautiful, handsome young boys now. That Bryant is 30 and Justin's 28, 27, and wonderful boys. The unfortunate thing is that marriage, Johnny walked away from Chris and the boys, but Chris is remarried, been remarried about, quite a few years to John. Very nice guy, quiet. He's wonderful as can be. Of course, Melissa, one of our other daughters, she married Robert years ago. They got a beautiful son and daughter. And then our son, they don't have any children. But man, we've been blessed. We've really been blessed with kids. And now Bryant, who was born in Germany when Chris was in Germany, he's 30, and he's got a son that'll be a year old on November 2nd. So November 1st, that's right. I keep saying the 2nd. I don't know why it's the 1st.
So, as long as I've known you, which has been a while now.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Been a while. You've been married to Pat.
Yep.
And so carry us through that.
Well, I had been married before, and married a girl from England, and we lost a baby at Camp Lejeune when it was born. Nobody was there. She went into labor. The baby was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around it, and it choked to death. And that put a big axe into the relationship. It bothered me, but not like it bothered Angela. I I guess I had kind of, I don't know if you can grown cold. I saw so much death in Vietnam. I had to go and identify all the guys killed, 13 guys killed on the same day on Meade River. First sergeant sent me to had to make a positive ID, and I got sent. I'm 19, you know. And so I really didn't know how to act when Christy died. And I packed up everything before Angela came home. I thought I was doing a good thing, but I think I did a bad thing. She didn't get to grieve with it. And I just shut it off, never talked about it again. Now, years later with Pat, I like to have a nervous breakdown. It hit me and hit me hard. And it was just awesome. But we met in 82. I was living with my aunt and uncle in Atlanta. They were living in College Park.
Bob and Jan.
Bob and Jan. Yep, you know them well.
I know them well.
And got that young man right there we're proud of, and you. And I was living up there. I was divorced. I was trying to make a go of things and all that. I had met Pat up here staying with Jan and Bob. And we weren't staying in touch as I remember, but I had got my eyes burned. Mike Smith, my buddy, he was welding on stainless steel. And I'd got my eyes burnt from the reflection and didn't realize it. And I had to go to the eye doctor. Felt like somebody had put 50 pounds of sand in my eyes, and I was taking drops, and she called to check on me. And I was like, man, that lady's going to call and check on me, you know. Mm-hmm. That's a different thing. And so we started dating. She made quite a few trips to Augusta, and I made quite a few trips up to here. And of course, Christy died on August 7th of 72. Ended up getting married. She had 4 wonderful kids, which are now my 4 wonderful kids. Robbie, the son. So I lost Christy, but I gained 4. Mm-hmm. I got Robbie and Melissa and Chris and Kim. Robbie married another Melissa. They live in Spring City, Tennessee. Melissa married Robert Sellers. They live up in Cartersville. Chris had married Johnny, but that's not a part. But she married a wonderful man who's a good man. He's good to me and Pat and everything. John, and then Kim had married Robbie, so I gained 8. And then you throw into the mixed. I had asked all the kids if they'd like to be adopted, and I knew Robbie wouldn't, which I expected that. I'd keep my dad's name too. Mm-hmm. And so he did. And Melissa, at that time, she just couldn't understand the concept of somebody really caring for somebody like that in that situation. Right. But she's my daughter and I'm her dad. But we did, Kim and Chris wanted to be adopted, so we adopted each other. And under the law, they can't divorce me and I can't divorce them. And I'm fat, sassy, and happy as a lark and proud of all of them. And so we got married in May 24th of 86. I know that. I ain't forget that. Gotta go home. And
Pat's behind the cameras.
Yeah, Pat's over there behind the camera helping me out. And we were just gonna go off and get married. And Jan said, "Not no nephew of mine." And you know, she helped raise me for a lot of years. Mm-hmm. And Bob took me in like a son. And so we had our wedding in their front yard. We had a great time. We had a lot of fun. Let me tell you a little anecdote about Bob Penrose. Bob is a good man. When I was a kid, they got married in 56, I think. So I was 8. I was deep into playing football and baseball. Football, I was average at that time. Baseball, I was really good. And God-given talent. I could hit the ball a long way. I could pitch. I played every position but catcher. And Mother never could come. And 2 or 3 years in a row, I made All-Stars. I had no way to get there, and Bob came and took me to those games. He's been that kind of man my whole life.
Yeah.
And they have been like mom and dad to me. Tracy and Susan and I have been raised like brother and sister. We're cousins, but in my heart, and I feel like in their heart, we're brothers and sisters. And
That's the way it was always described to me.
yeah, and Pat and I have had a wonderful life. We will be married 35 years this coming May. We've gone through some hard times and worked through them, and it's been magnificent for years and years and years.
Still have to wake him up at the door? No? We've got through that?
Yeah, we got to all do that. Yeah, and she's kind of like the cooler, you know, in that movie with Patrick Swayze. Kind of like the cooler. I used to have a bad temper, you know.
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'd fly off the handle, but praise God, between her and the kids working with me and teaching me what love really is, and the VA giving me some medical help for my PTSD, life's been good. Life is good.
I think the last subject I want to touch on.
Yes, I did. I got saved. My salvation. A buddy of mine, very close buddy of mine, had a falling out with me in Augusta. Got in the church, got saved, got my life turned and headed in the right direction. He said to me one day, he says, "I guess you got religion." I said, "No, I didn't get religion. I just got saved." I believe in God, and I know there's a God, and he reached down and pulled me out of the quagmire you're still in.
Yeah.
And our friendship kind of waned for it. But hey, you know, Larry Brown was our teacher in North Augusta, a good man. And he used to say, sometimes you just got to shake the fruit off the tree and walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the VA a minute ago. Things over the years, the VA has, maybe even rightfully so, gotten a bad name.
Yes.
The way I look at it, it is America's shining example of what socialized medicine is.
Yes, correct.
And I can tell you that, you know, after 28 years, I retired last year. And my dealings with the VA have been nothing but positive. Yeah.
Mine too.
The couple of years leading up to about the time that I retired, the VA's gone through a lot of changes. I think they started with when Shinseki took over.
Yeah.
The years prior to that, a lot of people had a lot of complaints.
Oh, yeah.
And even during the time of Shinseki and all, we hear of tons and tons of vets dying. Over the years, because you've dealt with the VA from the time of Vietnam up to now, how has your, because like I said, mine's been positive, but I've only been there a year.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything to base it off of.
My first experience with the VA was probably back in 79, 80. I got real sick and was having all kinds of internal problems, and went to the VA, saw a doctor. He said, "I need to refer you to a specialist," and I guess an internal doctor. I don't know what you'd call him, but
internalist.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems with my my bowels and
gastroenterologist.
Yeah, there you go. And so, not to be nasty, but my stools were kind of black and bloody. So I went to see this guy here in downtown Atlanta. Got in there, and I walked in there, and he said, "What can you do? What can I do for you?" And I said, "Well, tell you the truth, Doc." I said, "I don't really know." I said, you know, I told him what had happened and all that. Just gospel truth. I'm going to tell it just straight as it is, okay? Forgive me, Lord, in church. He looked over at me behind his desk, straight-faced, and said, "Perhaps you don't know how to wipe your ass." I sat there for about 5 seconds, man, and I exploded. I jumped up on top of his desk. I pulled my breeches and underwear down to my ankles. I bent over, I spread the cheeks of my backside and told him, I've never had a class on wiping it, but if you want to start right now, I'm with you. Well, needless to say, that visit ended up. But the great part about it was I went out the door and I never went back. I went out the door and everybody, to include the nurses, down the just 15 feet away in the waiting area, was laughing and looking up that way. I walked out that door and never looked back. But it's changed. But the real change that I see, and it's not a political statement, was when Trump took over. He started getting rid of the deadbeats, the deadbeat nurses and doctors, especially the ones that were just in there knowing that I can't be fired, I'm in government service, I can't. You get terrible care.
Yeah.
They didn't care what they did one way or the other. And so now I'm going to Chattanooga up here. I got a great doctor, great eye doctor, a great foot doctor, I don't know what you call them. Podiatrist, great foot doctor. I get 2 pair of shoes every year because of I'm borderline diabetic. I got 2 or 3 great psychiatrists. Whatever's the highest is psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever it is. That's what I got. And Mona was a female I had. Great woman. Then I got Dr. Rose. Pat's met both of them. Dr. Rose is an awesome man. He explains it on my level that I can understand. And the best word he ever said to me, and Pat was there, he said, something happens between me and you, and I step out and take ownership of it and get involved in it, guess what? It's mine now. What do I do for it? How do I solve it? What do I do? And so I've kind of been able to, they got all my medicine right and everything, and I got right, got saved and all that, and the Lord's doing a work in me, which I'm proud of. And life's good. I enjoy going to the VA. They're good down there. You ain't got no deadbeat laying up in there. I've been down here 15 years doing this, and I'm going to lay right here and do this till the day I die and do nothing. So I do appreciate what he has done for the VA.
I know I've got Dr. Campbell in Savannah, and the second I walked through the door, she was like, we're going from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and all points in between. So get ready, because you're going to be spreading them. You're going to be doing everything. And good woman, and her whole team. And I can call or I can email or text 24 hours a day, and I get almost an immediate response.
I have Dr. Robinson now at Chattanooga. He had a practice for 40 years in Cleveland. He retired, and the VA contacted him, and he's been working down there for the last 2 years. Buddy, he is top notch. I was seeing Mona one time, and some things that happened in our family, but not from our children or nothing like that. Man, I got steaming hot. I mean, the next day I had an appointment with Mona, and I went there and she said, what can you do for me? And I said, if I could, I'd get in my car right now and I'd drive down to Atlanta and I'd kill somebody. She said, we need to talk. And we did. We sat in there and talked it out, and I went through the whole thing with her, and it took me a little bit to get over it. You know, it's hard to turn loose to some things that hurt somebody you care for.
Yeah.
And so, but, you know, I'm good. I try not to let too much bother me. Life is good for us. It's good.
Yeah.
You know, we moved from Augusta to Cleveland, Tennessee, when after.
That kind of took me by surprise, because I thought you were still in Augusta.
Oh, yeah.
And Parker says, no, they're in Cleveland. I said, Cleveland, Georgia, and because, you know, that you got both right there.
Yeah, right there together.
He goes, I don't know, Georgia, Tennessee, Cleveland. I'm like, okay.
But we moved to Cleveland. I think Sydney was 3. Yeah, she was, because we moved in 13. Because Kim and Robbie had 16 years to have a little girl, and we were tired, so we moved up there to be near her. And of course, that puts us there. We're closer to all the kids. And poor Chris, she's still in Augusta, but she makes trip after trip.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart about that. And but it's been great with Sydney. I mean, we didn't get to do much with Jacob and Rebecca. Not for anybody's fault, just that we were working and they lived in Cartersville, you know. And so we're trying to do a lot with them now, do some things with them and stuff. But I think a lot of times, I know Pat's never said anything, but I lost Christy at birth. And I call Cindy Monkey sometimes, just as a name, but I've started calling her a little bit. And I asked her about that, and she said she's fine with that. She's, in a lot of ways, she's Christy to me, but she's my granddaughter, Sydney, and will always be my granddaughter, Sydney.
Okay. Well, Paul, I appreciate you coming down.
Oh, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate your service.
Yours too.
Yours too. Thank you, bro. I appreciate your 28 years. And Parker, son, I'm proud of your time in the Navy. I'm proud of you now. I appreciate you thinking about me. I've been excited since your son called me.
Yeah.
And then talking to you, I got ramped up some more. And I think sometime Pat wanted to put a leash on me and kind of hold me down. But she's been really excited about it too.
Well, we're just glad to see the boat.
I know Chris is excited about it. She wants to watch it. So it's, you know, I'm like you. I didn't spend as much time in the military as you did. But I valued that time for friendships. I've still got guys that I knew in Vietnam, guys I was on embassy duty with. I haven't found any guys I was on the drill field with, but I've had 2 guys contact me that were recruits of mine and told me about, said, hey, you had that blue 63 Falcon convertible with the big motor and all that. I said, yeah, that was me. And he was a deputy sheriff in Orlando, and he said, I want to thank you. He said, you was one tough, mean son of a gun. He said, but boy, you took care of us.
Well, you know, when I went through basics and then went through tech school the first time at Rantoul, Illinois, Chanute Air Force Base, went through fire school. Then after Desert Shield, Desert Storm, got out for those 8 years and then went back in. But I went Army and then did that for 7 years and then went back under a conditional release from the Army back to the Air Force. Well, I'd stayed out so long that my Air Force certifications had dropped for fire. So I had to go back through school. And when I went back through school, the school was now in San Angelo, Texas. And I was what they called WALSA, because every time I switched branches, I lost rank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was an E4 and an E5 3 times. You know, by the time I put on E6, Parker was already an E4. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. But my kid, man. And so, but when I went back through fire school, we had this kid that was just a whiz kid. He knew all the NFPA standards and all this other stuff. And then come to find out, his daddy had retired as the fire chief at San Angelo on the base. And so he had pretty much grown up with his daddy reading in the NFPA manuals and the IPSTA manuals, you know, at bedtime.
Yeah.
His daddy, I remind you, this kid is in my class. His daddy was my fire instructor at Chanute Air Force.
Really?
Rantoul, Illinois. So when I got my second fire department badge from the Air Force, his dad actually, they let him come in, give a little speech at graduation, and then present everybody with their badges.
Yeah.
And so being the oldest one in the class. I was considered WALSA, world's oldest living senior airman. They let me, they had me give a speech in the class about military service and how it's never too late in military service to start over again and do your thing, you know. And then he got up and gave the speech about the meaning of the Lewis F. Garland badge, the fire badge for the Air Force. And then he went to present it. And whenever he went to present mine, he was like, "We've been through this before." And I was like, "Yeah, just a few years ago. Yeah, just a few." I was 43 years old and going back through fire school. And the average age in the fire school at the time was 19 years old. You know, so that was kind of weird.
Paul's story of his time in Vietnam, as well as his time in the Marine Corps, is much like so many other Marines of his generation. But at the same time, it is still singularly Paul's individual story. It is what makes Paul, well, Paul. Service in the military runs deep and strong within his family in all the branches, but Paul is that quintessential Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. We would like to dedicate this 3-part interview to all the servicemen and women who have served and given the ultimate sacrifice. If you like this video, well, you know what to do.